This recipe has some really smart ideas for making chicken not at all boring, just through thinking about the way that you salt it a little bit differently. So this recipe comes from Donald Link, who is a chef in New Orleans. And in addition to salting chicken the way that you normally would, which, I mean, you've seen this a million times, here, the biggest boost to the flavor and the deepest layers of flavor come from different forms of salt. They are salami and green olives, but they could be anything that has been cured in salt or preserved in salt, like capers, fish sauce, soy sauce, like anything that is a different type of saltiness that brings along its own flavor too. So these just happen to be like a briny type of salt and then kind of like a meaty, fatty type of salt, and together they make this whole thing not be boring at all. I think I'm ready to sear. I'm just gonna sear all this chicken. That's how most good braises start. Yeah, I think this is nice and hot. So it's chicken time. The technical definition of a braise is searing pieces of meat, or it could be vegetables, putting a liquidy, saucy mixture together. It's not gonna be fully submerged, it's usually about halfway up, and then you cook it in the oven, and that sauce reduces down and makes it delicious. It makes the meat really tender. It differs from roasting, which is dry heat. It differs from stewing, which is covered with lots of liquid heat. It's like that perfect Goldilocks middle cooking style. Here's another reason why searing in this green pan is nice. Well, and you can rotate it. You don't have to wait. It's like so not sticking. Okay, nice and golden on both sides. So I'm just sticking them in the dish they're gonna braise in. This is why I'm wearing an apron. One of those rare times when an apron is very useful. So now this is where I'm gonna make all of this delicious sauce that's gonna go bake with the chicken. So the first thing is just cooking a bunch of onions in the chicken fat. Okay, I'm gonna call that brown on the onions. Now a ton of other stuff goes in. Some sliced fennel, a rosemary sprig, those two kinds of salt, the hard salami and the green olives. It's good to use like a nice, firm, not super duper salty green olives. So these are Castelvetrano, but not the ones that are in the can. Those are kind of salty and can kind of come out mushy and mess up the texture. And there's a few more things to add. Garlic, dried oregano, and dried chili flakes. This is a really good thing to make in the dead of winter when you're just feeling really sleepy and bored, because everything about this is going to wake you up. So now some white wine goes in. This is a good moment for deglazing action. If you still have brown bits stuck to the bottom of the pan from all of that browning of the chicken and the onions and everything, this is when it's gonna be freed. So you can really smell as the wine is cooking off. At first it's gonna smell very boozy and alcoholic as the alcohol is evaporating off. And the herbs are gonna start coming back through, so you know that the wine has reduced down and done its thing. So now tomato paste, and that needs to cook down for like 5 minutes. Tomato paste is one of these kind of like wonder umami ingredients. It's this concentrated tomato essence of sorts, and then the more it's exposed to heat, the more that it caramelizes and brings out the umami and all the good flavors in tomatoes. I could be wrong, but I think that part is like a classic French technique. So I think that's the French influences. First, this caramelizing of the tomato, and then also there's gonna be some flour to thicken the sauce. So those are fairly classic French techniques. But the olives and the salami are where the Sicilian roots of New Orleans cuisine come in. So Donald Link, the chef here, is like, he's pulling in all those different influences in Cajun cooking in his book, Real Cajun, that this recipe comes from. Almost done making our sauce. This is just some chicken stock. I found this recipe on a thread on our hotline on Food 52 that has been such a goldmine for me. It was back in 2016, at the end of the year, a community member asked, what are your favorite recipes that you've made this year? And I've already featured, I think, 4 or 5 different recipes in Genius Recipes from that one conversation on the Food 52 hotline. And this is one of them. I'm trying to remember what community member said it. Weekend at Bernace, who has one of the cheekier, more delightful usernames on Food 52. Very last thing that goes in, lemon juice and some bay leaves. I think the bay leaves go in now just so that they don't get broken up too much in all of the stirring. And now this glorious sauce is just going to go all over this chicken. All right, just making sure everybody's got some good stuff all around it. Everyone's covered, everyone's sauced. And now this whole thing just goes in the oven. 1.5 hours, you baste it every half hour just to keep getting those juices on the chicken. And all of these things are going to meld and turn into a very glorious meal. 1.5 hours later, this is what you get. You have this amazing, oh wow, like rich sauce here. And you take out the rosemary and the bay leaves, or just avoid them. They've done their work. I'm going for a thigh. I mean, the most important thing to serve with it is just something that you can eat all this incredibly flavorful sauce with. So polenta, pasta, a grain, a potato, anything that you can use so that you don't feel compelled to leave any of this sauce behind. So this is such a perfect winter meal. Make it on a weekend, make your house smell really good, and it's gonna make your week so much better. For more genius recipes like this, be sure to like and subscribe and check back every week, and there will be more chicken for you and more delicious saucy things for you, I promise.